Okay, so you're going to start the clap and we're going to bring Kyle Martin out. You ready? 1, 2, 3, go wild and crazy!
Suddenly this all got very scary. I actually hear some of you are signing up for this tonight. You are insane. So my name is Kyle. I am a PhD student in plasma physics at the University of Glasgow. I'll explain what plasmas are. Plasmas are formally defined as a partially or fully ionized gas, which really means that if you take the electricity that's running through this microphone and just disperse it through the gas in this room, you get a plasma. And they're interesting because electric fields and magnetic fields affect their behavior in a way that you wouldn't get with a normal gas. So electric fields can apply energy, magnetic fields, they change their dynamics, they change the way that they move, and that gives rise to interesting behavior. So that's one reason that I study them as a PhD student. The other reason I'm doing a PhD is I wanted to learn something about myself, or discover myself somehow, or pick up new skills, all the typical professional stuff you have to say. But a lot of other people, when they want to try and find themselves, they'll do something a lot more interesting and typical, like take themselves off to some foreign part of the world and experience new cultures for a year and make it the best year of their life. Me, on the other hand, I decided to take 4 of the best years of my life and make myself unforgivably miserable. Which I hope you can understand, because PhDs are tough. A lot of hard work and plenty of disappointment. Disappointment that creeps its way into every part of your life, and it never seems to end. It can be everything from, why doesn't this work, to, no, I get it, yeah, we can be friends. And something that really sticks out for me, which is, oh fuck, I shouldn't have shaved that much. Oh, it looks like a sad turnip. Most academics are a little bit crazy like that, which I hope you can, understand and come to terms with, because academia itself is messy. It's a bit of a circus as far as careers go. In my 18 months in academia, I think I've been able to succinctly summarize it in one sentence. I think I should have planned how I said that, because that could have been really difficult. You can summarize it in one sentence, which I'm going to say now, but bear in mind, this might change the way that you look at the rest of us after this, okay? So this could be life-changing. Working in academia is like having a drug addiction that somebody else pays for. That's the important part. So the research itself, that's the drug, okay? It's a lot of fun to push the boundaries of science and do something new and fresh. It's invigorating and it's exciting. A lot of joy to be had in it. And the taxpayers, thankfully, you pay for it, okay? You allow the research to happen, which is great. But what about this for food for thought? The next time you're walking past a university and you see a sad and lost and depressed and distressed older man, you fucking did that to him. If you want to help people, don't pay your taxes. So how do you get here? How do you end up in this cycle of addiction? Well, it starts with an undergraduate degree, right? And I do physics, so let's take physics for example. Great degree to have, a lot of great skills to be picked up, and you enjoyed it at school, so fine, that's great. Do it as an undergraduate degree. But eventually it comes around to your honours project. And that's when you get a taste for it. That's your gateway drug, right? That's your first hit of the bong, your first light of the spliff, and it changes your world. You really get a taste for it. So you think, I know, I'm going to do a PhD. And again, well, I made it this far, so I kind of have to say it's great. But you do a PhD, and more of the same, a lot of hard work, a lot of disappointment, as you know, and there's a lot of joy to be had when you get it right. But unfortunately, it comes with all of the other typical stoner characteristics, like putting on weight, eating far too much junk food, maybe not dressing as well as you should, definitely not washing as much as you should, and of course being nowhere near as productive as you could be. PhDs typically take 4 years to finish. Looking back, I could easily do it in 2. And that's typically where it ends for most people. They do the PhD and then they go into industry, they go into the real world, which is, you know, kind of the same with weed. You dabble a bit maybe in university and you give it up and that's it. Not for die-hard academics, no. They burn away the last of the devil's grass and leave themselves with a long white line of postdoc life. And postdocs are a very different kind of beast. Postdocs are temperamental at best. 1 minute they could just be a little bit irritable and sketchy and maybe a little paranoid you're going to take their work away from them. And the next minute they're working feverishly at something for 6 to 7 hours until 3 in the morning just to get a paper published. Terrifying at times, nowhere near as bad as what happens when you take away their funding. Now they're fighting for a job. And that's when the coke side starts to come out. Because then it looks a little bit like this. They start doing the doors, trying to get some help. It turns into, hey, yeah, no, I'm good, yeah. No, we just changed detergent. No, I was fine. Listen, you got any projects going? Just a couple of months, weeks even. Radio, UV, yeah, I can do it all. Yeah, of course. You know I'm good for it. Why would you give it to Jeff? Fuck Jeff. Now they get angry. So maybe you do that for 10 years, and then the next step in your career is a fellowship. Yeah, I know. They're just called a fellowship. Roll with it, okay? And at this stage you're maybe 35 or 40, okay? So you have to ask yourself, do I really enjoy this? And the only answer at this stage, because you're far too deep in the rabbit hole, is yes, I enjoy it. But of course, now you have to ask the other question, well, what about the guys I went to uni with who did finance and business? Well, let's compare their Friday night, shall we? So, those guys, they're doing lines of coke off a stripper's thigh. You are doing lines of Iron 21 at 3 a.m. in the office. They want a deviated septum. You're quite happy with a deviated centroid. And my God, do you get excited when you see it. Oh my God, look at those blue shifts. I never thought the sun could get this hot. And of course, you're both making the same noise with your nose, right? The coke guys, because of coke. And you, well, that's a sinus problem, but you wouldn't be a real scientist if you didn't have allergies. So you come to the end of your fellowship and it's time to think about the next step. So you take one last long line of coke and then you pass the fuck out. And then you wake up maybe a couple of days later and under the desk this entire time there was a great big heaping bucket of meth rocks that just needs to be smoked. This is heaven. This is faculty. You've got good meth, you've got bad meth, you've got pink meth, you've got blue meth, you've got biker meth, you've got bathtub meth, and nobody else can have it. It is all yours. Unless, of course, you have a postdoc, in which case you have to give in at least a little bit. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever spent any length of time outside Hillhead Subway? I know where I'm going. Horrifying, right? People dress dubiously. They are quite violently babbling about something, and you're worried about their dental hygiene. The shocking thing is you're all picturing a lecturer right now. And you could very easily walk up to these people and say, "Oh, hi, Professor, you have a blood disease." And you'd be forgiven. Meth addicts, and at least the older faculty, not that different. A little bit insane, scary to talk to. You're not entirely sure they know where they are, and they have no regard for social norms. I kind of like to think of them as the socially walking dead. These are the kinds of people who could quite easily walk into a building wearing nothing but their pajamas, and someone will defend them and say, that guy, he fixed the quantum thing, he's a fucking hero. That kind of life is not for me. After my PhD, I am probably going to go into industry. Okay, I say probably, I've been thinking about it too much lately. I'm definitely going into industry. I'm definitely going into industry, which is maybe the academics equivalent of AA or a 12-step program. Unfortunately, we know that they don't always work out. And sometimes you can fall off the wagon. So I'm kind of hoping that in a couple of years, you don't see me outside a bus stop like, hey, you got 31p? You got 31, I just need to get new science. It's just like one article. Thank you, everybody.